Joining us now to break down the state of the 2020 race is Cassie Smedile, the Deputy Communications Director for the Republican National Committee. Cassie, we see today that the Biden campaign is now moving forward with holding some sort of physical convention set to take place in Milwaukee. This, of course, comes after the Trump campaign announced that they would be holding a physical convention in Jacksonville, Florida. How important is it to hold these events as compared to maybe a digital event?
Well, that's what our supporters want. They want to have the more conventional celebration to formally renominate our president to be our party's nominee. And so we're looking forward to that event in Jacksonville. And I'm glad that DNC has decided to do something since their nominee hasn't held a formal press event in more than 77 days. So maybe this will be his first.
And we talk about polls, too, which we'll get to in a second. But a big thing is that one of the candidates is out. I say this out on the campaign trail. He's campaigning while the other person is not right now. Of course, the president is dealing with the different conflicts that are going on in the country. He's not on the campaign trail in the same way that Joe Biden is. So when we look ahead to this weekend, that we have that rally in Oklahoma. It's one of the first since the coronavirus pandemic first came to the U.S. shores. How big is it to have that rally to get enthusiasm behind the president once again?
Well, first, I take a little bit of issue that Joe Biden is, quote, out on the campaign trail. He's hardly being seen, and when he is, it's very low energy versus the president, who we're seeing every day, whether that's in his official business for the country and now getting back out to do a rally, which I think is a great sign for the economy and for those who want to safely re-engage into our communities and start supporting businesses again. To set an example for how you can do this safely is exactly what the president is setting out to do this weekend. I think it will be not only a welcome sign for the country, but certainly for the more than 1 million people who have signed up to try and get into that rally.
Yeah, I'm going to have to think of some kind of term of what exactly Joe Biden is doing. He's trying to campaign. I just can't put together the words in order to say what he is doing. But I also want to talk about, for example, some of the Never Trumpers. There was a development about the Lincoln Project. Of course, a group of Never Trumpers. One of their members got in trouble for having a Confederate flag cooler, so that's something a little bit off to the side as well. But there's also this, I think it's called Right Side PAC. It's a bunch of former Bush administration officials joined by Anthony Scaramucci in kind of putting together a pack against the president, kind of championing his positions from the right. What does this say, though, about the development of the Republican Party? The fact that it is starting to move away from maybe beliefs that were held during prior administrations, and now we see a president that has a 90% approval rating within the party. What does that speak about the transformation of the party?
Yeah, well over 90% on any given day, some days as high as 96%. And I would say there's no departure in beliefs for the party. There's just a departure in having a leader who will actually carry out those beliefs. And the reason that you see President Trump enjoy so much support amongst not only stronghold Republicans, but also as we see that he brings in at any given rally, a quarter to a third of the people there are registered Democrats or independents. And so he's bringing in new people to the party, which is something new and refreshing for us. And we're glad to see it and glad to have them. So for those who are disgruntled consultants who may be upset that they're losing their old faithful business, that's on them. But they're working with an ever shrinking minority of people.
And, you know, when I do talk to many Republicans right now, specifically ones that are supporters of the president, they'll say that it's a transition a little bit away from policies that haven't worked for working class people and now is starting to champion them a little bit more. And I think that is something that does resonate among the American people, whether it's tax cuts, whether it's a push for immigration, whether it's new trade deals. That's something they mention a lot. I think that there has been a little bit of a pivot in the Republican Party. It's just kind of a matter of defining exactly what it is. But as we move forward to the next election, too, looking ahead to November, acknowledging what those policies and what I just said, what should the messaging for Republicans going into November be? Is it the economy once again?
Yes, perennially, the economy is always the number one issue that drives voters, no matter what the day-to-day headlines might be. And when you've got headlines like we're seeing with 2.5 million jobs in May, and you've got an unprecedented retail sales report from earlier this week, 17.7% increase in the last month. Those are numbers which show not only is President Trump the right man for the job, but he has been all along. It's because he's empowered through his policy positions the American worker and American businesses to work and to achieve their American dreams. And so as we move out of this phased or this quarantine phase, he's the one who's most able to help us bounce back. And when you compare that to Joe Biden, who oversaw the slowest economic recovery in our country's history, it's a clear choice for voters. And we know that if they're going to the poll to vote on the economy and what's happening around their family's budget, their only choice is for Donald Trump.
And a lot is happening too. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, we were saying the big issue is going to be the coronavirus pandemic. Now it seems like it's going to be police reforms. We're still 5 months out of this election. Who's to say what is going to be the big news cycle come November? But I think that you're right to say that the economy is something that kind of transcends news cycles, and that's really going to be a big issue for a lot of voters come November. Cassie Smedile, thanks for joining us tonight.